So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate. So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. What the fuck? So, Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool fucking time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000, and I didn't even spend that much on school. Any rich person, please tap in. Kourtney Kardashian, you probably have 8 houses. I'm never gonna be able to buy one because I went to college. I just signed up to be an egg donor. Guess what? Got approved. Who wants my fucking kids? I can't afford them, so start a bidding war. Just fucking take them. What do you want? My left arm too? What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm gonna be in debt for my whole fucking life. How does that even make sense? I signed up for this shit when I was 17. This should not be legal, bro. I got upset about it at work, and my coworker was like, don't you have a rich relative who can pay that for you? No, my family's poor. No. And the worst fucking part is, bro, look where I am. I can't go in because I can't spend money, but I just want to be here because it makes me feel better.
So the truth is, we have so many Americans, millions of Americans struggling every day, and they can't even afford the basics. They can't afford the basics. The basics are, food, rent, water. It's just so hard. And I feel it keep happening behind the scenes, and people are not talking a lot about it, and I think watching the videos that we are going to watch is going to prove what I'm about to say, what I'm saying right now. Really, this is the truth. There's so many people struggling just to live day-to-day life, just to pay for their needs, right? No wants, no buy luxury stuff, no, just to pay for rent, right? Just to pay for food. People are struggling with that, and it's crazy that I feel we're not talking enough about it. I just feel we don't talk enough about it, and it's keep happening behind the scene. And I feel as the years going by, the more people are getting into that stage. So without further ado, let's get into it and you'll see what I'm talking about.
As things cost more, Americans are putting less aside. Federal data shows the personal savings rate has fallen to the lowest level in years. NPR's Amy Held reports.
Inflation is around a 3-year high. Wages have not kept up, and nearly half of U.S. households are struggling to afford the basics. A year ago, the personal savings rate was 5.8%. By March, it was down to 3.2%. And in April, the latest reading, it had fallen to 2.6%, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis.
It's one of the lowest rates in the past 65 years.
Heather Long is chief economist at Navy Federal Credit Union.
We're seeing people turning more to credit cards and personal loans and buy now, pay later. We can see some early signs of pullback in home improvement and also in healthcare.
Long says she expects things to get tighter into the second half of the year.
A whole lot of y'all didn't get raised like this, so I get it. This just gives you perspective on how affordable the USA was back in the day. Isn't that insane? I mean, how many of you guys grew up like this? I didn't have brothers or sisters, but I had a lot of friends, and I'd be at other people's houses. This is very normal, even though these weren't family members necessarily. I did, yeah. It's crazy how much, things have gotten worse. Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired of paying for things I never asked for and don't want because of the same party that constantly lectures everyone else about fiscal responsibility. I don't want to pay for any more presidential golf trips. I don't want to pay for lobster and steak dinners and a grand piano for the sec def. I don't want to pay for ballrooms. I don't want to pay for tricked out jets and airplanes. I don't want to pay for our FBI director and his girlfriend to fly and party with people. And I definitely don't want to pay for commercials promoting a crony like it's some personality cult. I don't want to subsidize any more billionaire lifestyles. And I really don't want to pour billions more into ICE, which already has more funding than the U.S. Marines, while politicians refuse even basic oversight, especially when I'm standing in the grocery store paying $330 for the same groceries that used to cost me $180 for my family of 4. all while cutting funding for the arts and science and medical research and cutting funding for healthcare and education and infrastructure, the very things that actually build the future of this country. The national debt is not magic money. Like any debt, it has to be paid. Right now, the United States already owes about $39 trillion. That's already insane. That works out to roughly $116,000 for every single American. And that's before the big bullshit bill. This bill is projected to add about $3.4 trillion more to the deficit over the next decade once interest is included, which means we're heading toward more than $40 trillion in debt. And if the current trajectory continues, economists project the national debt could reach around $50 trillion within 10 years. That's like freaking Star Trek money. It's impossible to even conceive. That would mean roughly $150,000 in debt for every single American. And that should scare the absolute hell out of you. Because not just you and I are going to have to pay. That's what we're leaving our children and our grandchildren generations with from just this administration's irresponsibility. Do you actually think Dear Leader cares about how this will affect generations? Dear Leader has never built anything using his own money. He always used other people's capital, banks, lenders, investors to fund his businesses. And when those businesses failed, the investors took the hit. He left them holding the bag and just walked away. But this time, the investors are the American people, and the balance sheet he's gambling with now is the United States of America. He sees our treasury as a national credit card with no spending limit. And eventually we pay for it, not him. You and me and our children will pay for it. It's crazy. It's just absolutely insane. That's all I got. Stay steady. Eyes open. Guard the Republic.
This isn't a video I've ever planned on making, but I don't know what to do. In 2025, I sat my leaving cert and I got the course I wanted in Galway. Since then, I've had to work full-time because I cannot afford a place in Galway to stay. Just with obviously how incredibly bad the market is for rentals or even student accommodation. This is so embarrassing. I've missed out on friends. I've missed out on so much. And I work so hard looking for somewhere that I can stay so I can go to college. I have applied everywhere on Daft, everywhere on Rent.ie. I've went into agencies and I've gone to viewings and it's just nothing is working. I even got a place in a private student accommodation called Swade's Suites, and I've been on that waiting list since like 2024, 2025, and I got a spot for a little studio, which would have been perfect. There is no option to pay in monthly installments, even though they're asking for 12 grand. Obviously, student accommodation is expensive for the 9 months, which was something I just couldn't do. My partner, who is working full-time, is trying to support me to get there, and he wants to come with me. So that is a big help, obviously, to trying to afford an apartment or somewhere for us to stay. We also, through like these groups on Facebook that try to help people find places, met this lovely couple who are also really struggling to look for a place that we could be roommates with. So for income, there's been 5 viewings of apartments. I have sent easily hundreds of emails and not one has offered a place. I get left unopen or told that the slot has been filled, or straight away get a job up in Galway and just move, just go so I can go to college in September. And I've been putting off like explaining this story to my TikTok because I didn't want work or my works to know that I was leaving to go to college in September. But I don't care anymore because I have been trying so hard the past nearly year to make something of myself, move out, go to college, and I just feel short of advice. If anybody knows anything that could help, that would be great. Like, I've saved, I've tried, I've applied, and I'm doing everything I can, but as I said, nothing seems to be working. And I did not want to come to this, but I just don't know what to do. This just shows how fucked up the country of Ireland is for young people not having a chance at all. And I don't care for the judgy people who are gonna share and show everybody that she's crying on the internet. This is reality. This is reality, and it's so unfair. So I may delete this later, I don't know, but I'm on my way to go pick up my kids. And I just needed to vent for a second before I go and put on a face and try not to show I'm mom's tired, or that I'm stressed, or that this is fucking hard. And I know I have no one to blame but myself, and I can't wait until we're through this rough patch and I get to set them up in a life where they don't have to maybe feel this part of the journey in life or whatever. But I'm so tired. I work nights. I've been picking up extra to make up grounds on the mistakes that we've made. And I know this is just a season, but I'm fucking tired. And I know the only way through this, the only way out is through. But it doesn't mean it's not hard. And that doesn't mean it doesn't suck. And now I'm crying ugly on the internet, so there's that. But yeah, if you can relate, if it sucks, if you're having a hard time, if you're trying so hard to change the trajectory of your family's financial future, and you feel like crashing out today, just know you're not alone. So
Saying to me how many of our friends have these lavish vacations, will do crazy landscaping, crazy home remodels, date night every weekend, paying for a sitter, going to trendy restaurants. You can't have a nice dinner in Austin with a couple drinks that's under $400 at a trendy restaurant. And I'm like, where are they getting the money from? And then once in a while, after a few drinks, you come to find out that your friends laugh at you when you talk about retirement. Because they have none. They have nothing saved. They have no savings. They're leveraged to the hilt. They all have loans that they took out for all of these remodels or vacations or plastic surgery. They are all living in debt. And I just, I don't understand. I would die. The financial stress that I would feel every night, going to bed every night, if we had that type of debt would kill me. My husband and I both work good jobs, and we work our asses off, and we pack our lunches every day for work to save money, and we're frugal in a lot of other areas, so we can indulge with travel and stuff, but we would never go into debt to do something.
As a Londoner living in the US, this is the greediest country I have ever lived in. So here's a list of things I've had to pay for which make no sense and would send the European mind into absolute psychosis. Let's kick it off strong with number one. I pay processing fees for my rent. I pay my rent and then I pay $6 to process my rent. Why am I paying you money to take my money? Now the next thing is I didn't realize how expensive healthcare actually is. But one day I had a really bad toothache and I went to the emergency room. First mistake. They scanned my insurance card, put me in a queue, and when I finally get to see a doctor, he looks at my tooth and says, yeah, we can't actually help you. You need to go see a dentist tomorrow morning. I said, cool. 2 weeks go by, I get my bill. $600. Luckily, I had insurance, so I paid $120. But think about this for a second. I paid $120 for a doctor to tell me he can't help me. Now, this one takes me off beyond my imagination. I stayed at the Intercontinental Hotel in Chicago, stayed there for 2 nights for around $200 a night, plus I paid for valet parking. But when I got my bill, the numbers just weren't adding up. On top of all the money and taxes I paid, they still charged me a $32 resort fee. What is a resort fee? And when I'm asking the receptionist what is a resort fee, nobody can answer my question. And what's even worse is it's not a flat fee, it's $32 per night. The next one was kind of annoying. I got my car towed, $350. Pro tip, do not let your car stay there overnight. Now the next one is tip culture, and since living here I've learned to leave a 10% tip. But think about this for a second. Your boss is so greedy that he doesn't pay you not a livable wage, doesn't pay you a survivable wage, then guilt trips us, his customers, into covering the rest of your wage for you. The level of greed you need to have to even think of that concept is literally something only Mr. Krabs would do. Now honestly guys, this list is 25 things long, so if you want to see a part 2 or you like content on finance, make sure to drop me a follow.
If anyone out there is wondering how Americans are doing poorly, we are doing poorly. Yesterday, I woke up to an email from my landlord saying, hey, I'm raising your rent. Why? No fucking reason. We already pay all of the utilities ourselves. That is not included in the rent. So we pay for electricity and we pay for water and we pay for natural gas to heat our home. And that bill in particular has fucking skyrocketed this year. Every single month this winter, it was over $600. And we do not turn the heat on. We just turn it so that we can fucking survive. We do not turn it above like 60. So we're fucking freezing in the house all fucking winter. Oh, and also I woke up this morning to an email from my health insurance being like, thanks for your payment. It was deducted automatically, except this time the payment was $400 more than it was last month. Sorry? What's going on? So I called the health insurance company and I was like, why did this happen? And they said, oh, well, the tax premium expired. And I said, tell me why that happened. Is that because of federal budget cuts? Is that because of the New York State budget? Where did that come from? And they said, we don't know. You have to call the New York State Department of Health. And so I called the New York State Department of Health, and it was just whole fucking rigmarole because they intentionally make it so opaque that you just have to spend all of your fucking time and energy just navigating this fuck-ass bureaucracy and trying not to get fucked more than they're already fucking you. I got my new IUD yesterday, so I've been fucking hugging this heating pad all day and eating Advil like it's breakfast cereal. Meanwhile, I don't even know how much that bill is going to be for. I don't know how much that procedure costs because I tried to find out before I got it. I called my health insurance company and I was like, how much is it going to be? And they were like, we don't know. You have to call the doctor. And so I called the doctor and I was like, how much is it going to be? And they were like, we don't know. You have to call your insurance. And so nobody could give me an answer. And I was like, well, I need the fucking IUD because I cannot afford to have children. Obviously, meanwhile, the fucking psychos over at CPAC are like, hey, you dumb bitches, leave the workforce. Better yet, never join the workforce and shack up with the first chud you meet in high school and start popping out babies that we know that you cannot afford because they're all fucking psycho Christian nationalists. The experience of being a working class American is to just be squeezed for every single dollar that you have at every turn, and you're like, just wave your arm and you just run into another fee that you were supposed to pay. And where does that money go? Straight to the fucking top, straight to the fucking billionaires who do not create jobs. In fact, they keep slashing jobs just to invest in fucking AI data centers. I don't understand how we're not out in the streets all the time.
For 3 things: eggs, milk, and bread. And my bill was almost $30. It's insane. It's insane. My mortgage is almost $3,000. My car payment is $680. My HELOC is $600. It cost me $80 to fill up my gas tank and $300 in groceries. And then we have medical bills that we have to catch up on. My electric bill is almost $400. My gas bill is almost $200. My internet is about $50. And we're supposed to survive how? My husband makes really good money, but we're living paycheck to paycheck. We are literally paying just to survive because we had triplets and have never been able to catch up. Trying to work from home, barely making any money at all, but I'm busting my butt to do that. I get free products sent to my house every single day, but I'm not making money from that. It's a free product. So it looks like I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not. I work for Amazon, Sam's Club, Walmart. I work on Venable, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok. And I'm barely making any money. I can barely keep my head above water. I feel like I'm drowning all the time. Why is America like this? It doesn't make any sense. Our family has 6. And we're barely surviving. And if I went back to work, I start to think of all the things that need to get done around the house. The laundry, the cleaning, the landscaping, the cooking, the home repairs that are piling up that I'm trying to catch up on because it's spring and I'm now seeing it even more. And all the other things that have to get done. I don't know how I can go back to work and do all that and take care of my kids and be present for them when they're still young. And I'm not saying all of this or any of this to make anyone feel bad for me.
It is actually diabolical that even 90K, 100K feels unlivable, especially when you take taxes out. It's like 60,000 a year. After taxes, you're looking at like 2,500 bi-weekly, so like 5,000 a month. With roommates and without roommates, you're still looking at between like 1,600 to 3,000 if you live by yourself. And that's just to like have a roof over your head. Which is crazy because in the entirety time that I've ever made over 6 figures, I've always worked so many side jobs just to like save money. Meanwhile, back when I was like 21, I was making like 30 to 40,000 a year being a nurse in South Carolina. Tell me how like I was even surviving on that, and I felt like I was having so much fun, and now like that feels like nothing. I'm not living beyond my means. I have the same car that I've had for 11 years. I feel like I'm buying less groceries, and my groceries still cost way more than I ever did before. Like with Spirit going away, Delta removing their drink and food services, the world is getting far more expensive, and we're getting nothing in return. I don't really know what these billionaires think that they're going to get out of us, because at this point, if we don't have any money to spend, how are we going to buy your products? It's getting to the point where things are like so frustrating. Like I don't want to work in this perpetual cycle of just like the rat race forever. I'm honestly like exhausted. I'm like looking at these jobs that I'm applying to, and it's like I do the math, and when you take out all the taxes, it's like nothing. It almost makes me want to go back into nursing full time, because like I don't know if I can take that pay cut, you know? And that's why everyone's in miserable jobs they don't want to be in, because you'd rather keep the job that you have with more money than get a pay cut role for a job that like you probably are overqualified for, but you want a new position.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k, because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck, and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a one-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home, and you only eat decent quality food, because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, that's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows, just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to. There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is unsustainable.
At this point, I seriously think Gen Z is just screwed. In 2026, Gen Z just simply earns way less than it costs to survive. The average Gen Zer makes about $25K a year, which is around $21,000 a month, and spends basically all of it on bills or rent. Nearly half of Gen Z runs out of money before the end of the month ends, and that's not just budgeting, that's just survival at that point. And don't get me started on student loan debt, because the average Gen Zer also has about $30K of student loan debt on top of all of that. We are spending more on essentials than any other previous generation, and wages just keep going down, and the cost of living just keeps going up. You're not failing in life. The system is just completely fucked us over. Budgeting does help, don't get me wrong. I still use mine to budget and track all of my expenses, but the system is still failing us.
I need to have a vent session for a second about the state of affairs in this country. So I have two adult children. One is 18 going on 19 and the other one is 21. My 18-year-old is working currently as an HVAC apprentice and working on getting certified, but he's making $16 an hour, which I live in a small to mid-sized Missouri town, so that's pretty typical around here. Wages are, low compared to a lot of places, but so is the cost of living. But he would also not like to be living at home with mom forever. He's more of an independent, autonomous person, so apartment living is not for him at all. He wants a place where he can have his truck and his dirt bikes and be able to work on motors and have the freedom to do what he wants with the place and also be able to have all of his stuff. And at this point, honestly, renting a house would cost more than a mortgage payment anyway, but he's been looking for houses and just trying to figure out what he can afford and what he can do. And he found this place that was only $125,000, which is dirt cheap around here. That just doesn't exist anymore, but it had no basement. It was on a slab foundation, I think, and probably needed some work, which he is naturally talented at that stuff. He works in HVAC. He's very mechanically inclined. He can do this stuff. So he's not afraid of a fixer-upper. Found out that the main reason it was priced so cheap is because it was in a flood zone. So it was a no anyway. But keep in mind, $125,000 house in this economy. And when we looked up to see if he did a 5% down payment on this thing with, your insurance and PMI and taxes and everything, his payment would still be $1,100 a month for a cheap piece of crap house. And just the look of absolute dread on his face when he realized how completely unaffordable and unattainable it is for him to be able to buy.
All right, so what's your thoughts? Right? Do you think government even knows while going behind the scene and they try to ignore it? Or do you think it's not loud enough for them to even listen to it? Because I feel with the government, there's so much noise that the government has to listen to. And I feel the person who makes more noise get heard. What I mean by that is we know currently there's a war going on, right? There is, I guess, a separation between the Democrats, Republicans. There's people who hate the current president, the people who likes the current president, and all of those are just noise through the government, right? Even if we come to our local governments, they also have issues going on that you will hear, maybe school issues, maybe you will hear criminal issues within the neighborhoods, right? Maybe you will hear economic issues, maybe you will hear community issues where maybe there's a place that they need to build a park, they need that, they need this, so it seems there's so many small noise from different spaces, to the point where the person who is struggling to pay rent, their noise is not loud enough to be heard because there's already other noise that's going on, right? And it's sad. What do you think about it? Do you think what I'm saying is true, or do you think the government knows what's going on? They just don't want to do it. They just only care about helping the rich. What do you think? Because I've heard that claim as well too. So what do you think? Please comment down below. I really want to hear what your thoughts, and thank you.